So today I want us to try and build some understanding about ADHD. ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder, meaning it's a mental illness that occurs during the developmental period. And the developmental period is usually the first 12 years of life. And ADHD is just one of the disorders that you can find in the category of neurodevelopmental disorders. Others include autism spectrum disorder, intellectual disability disorder, specific learning disorders, communication disorders, tic disorders, and many others. The characteristic feature of neurodevelopmental disorders is a disruption or a deficiency or a problem in the way that the brain processes things. So these children who have neurodevelopmental disorders have some problems in the way that their brain works. And that's why they are called neurodevelopmental disorders, because we're able to see how these problems in the way their brain processes things affect their life, affect their function, affect their development. For example, with ADHD, the specific problem with brain processes is attention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. So these are the ones that are impaired. And we can see them in the way that a child functions. We can see it in the way that the child develops. And so it's very important to understand that during this developmental period, there are expectations that we have. And these expectations are about the milestones that a child is expected to achieve. And there's usually a duration that we give this child, because we expect that, for example, at 3 months, 50% of children are going to be able to support their neck. And so we can extend that to maybe another 2 months, such that if they're not able to support their neck, then there is a problem. But before then, we may not start calling it a problem, because the people who develop a bit late, and the others who develop a bit early, and the others who just come in the average, in the mean of that. And so it's very important to be careful when you're making a diagnosis of neurodevelopmental disorders, because you might be labeling a child ADHD when really they are just within the range where they're supposed to be hyperactive or inattentive. And that's why you'll see that many psychiatrists or many child psychiatrists would be reluctant to haste. A parent would come and say, I think my child has ADHD. And with the assessment of the child psychiatrist, they see that they're still within that age where they can catch up with the ability that they're supposed to have, like attention or hyperactivity or impulsivity. For example, if a child has a habit of cutting a person mid-sentence, or you're holding the child's hand, that's impulsivity. You're holding a child's hand and very quickly they just feel this urge to leave your hand and to go and wander or cross the road. Hyperactivity is they're very restless, they can't sit still. Inattention is they can't pay attention to what you're telling them, even if it's an instruction as simple as, go brush your teeth or go put this glass in the sink. So these symptoms have to be there for at least 6 months. And they have to be severe enough to impair their function and their development. So we have to first assess and see, this child at this age, have they passed the age at which they were supposed to develop this ability of attention? If they haven't, then a doctor is going to be reluctant to make that diagnosis, because they still have time to catch up. If they have crossed that duration where they were expected to achieve that milestone, then the doctor might be very confident or very comfortable to make the diagnosis of ADHD. So for neurodevelopmental disorders like ADHD, it's usually very important to be careful to assess the child very thoroughly, to understand that they have actually passed the age at which they were supposed to achieve that milestone for you to be able to make the diagnosis of ADHD.